Good evening. Welcome to Fayette County Community Voices' first annual meeting. Thank you for coming tonight to hear who we are, what we've done, and what we are doing here in Connersville. Thanks to everyone that's helped bring this event together also. Tonight you're being served, so the kids that you see going around are a Puppy Love group. They do this as a fundraiser to raise money for their group in the community. Tonight, please help yourself to the desserts Holly Dunn and Chad Frank has provided for us, and the coffee bar is open throughout the evening. Our board of directors are serving the dinner. We will form a single file line here in the middle down the hallway. You'll split off into the two tables and then circle around and come back on the outside of the hallway. Our Puppy Love kids will dismiss the tables. We'll start on this side. And tonight, Eric Hopkins, Associate Pastor at New Heights, will bless our food and our evening. And thank you all so much for coming. I hope you have a great night with us. Thank you.
Well, you didn't know I was Associate Pastor at New Heights, did you? Me neither. Well, that's good. I have a question. Do you know why you're here tonight? If you know why you're here, raise your hand. It says on this paper, people who believe positive change can occur and people ready to help bring about that change. That's why you're here tonight. We believe that you're that people, and we just thank God for you. I came because they said they would feed me if I came. Let's say a word of prayer. Father, we just thank you tonight for your very presence in our life, and we thank you, God, for the blessing of life itself. You gave us breath, and we share that breath with one another. Thank you for those that are here tonight to make a difference. Thank you for the food that has been provided. Bless the hands that prepared it and those that are about to partake. And we'll give you praise in all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Chris, we are supposed to be providing a little bit of entertainment tonight for you. We're just going to do a few songs. We're going to get started in about 15 minutes, I believe. Okay, right at 7:30. So we're just going to do a few songs. You probably will recognize some of them, but we encourage you to talk so much amongst yourselves and just enjoy the evening. Don't mind us. I have to introduce
That God bless that broken road, led me straight to you. I think about the years.
Good evening. If I could please have your attention. Thank you. My name is Chad Frank. I'm the Vice President, of Community Voices. I'm going to be doing some introductions tonight as we get started. Our Master of Ceremonies this evening is going to be Randy Judd. He's the principal of the high school. He used to be my neighbor. I'm going to let him explain to you why he moved. I got a feeling I know, but anyway, he's been in the high school for 34 years. He's a great asset to our community. He was a great neighbor, by the way. I really enjoyed him, had a lot of good discussions. But please welcome Randy Judd.
Thank you. It is a great pleasure to be in this room tonight with so many people who love our community as much as I do. So give yourself a round of applause for being here. I really have no idea why I'm the MC. Is Pat Kefever here? Raise your hand, Pat. Okay, thank you, Pat. She's the person that said that maybe I would do a good job, and that's been happening a lot in the last couple of years. When people are kind of short-handed, they think of me. I don't know why. Was that bad? There's going to be a lot of bad stuff. Feel free to groan, but don't leave if I upset you. If I do upset you, it's probably my parents' fault. If I mispronounce your name when I introduce you, it's probably your parents' fault. So the first thing I would like to do is tell you a story before I start introducing people. I do a lot of interviews, and not everyone that I get to interview is from Connersville, and they come in, and of course I ask them a lot of questions, and then I give them an opportunity to ask a question, and usually they will say, why would I want to move to Connersville? Tell me about Connersville. And I say, well, I'm not really the person you should ask, because this is all I know. It's my home. I love it here. I'm the proud principal of Connersville High School, and I love everything about it. I've raised my children here, and fortunately right now I have 2 that are working here, and I count that as a blessing. And I talk about the good things about our school and what we offer, but I usually say, you're going to have to ask someone who is not from Connersville, who now lives here, to see why you should move to Connersville. Last summer, I was interviewing a person for a Spanish teaching job, and I had our department chair, Judith, was helping me, and Judith is actually from Madrid, Spain. And so she was in the interview, and she said, let me answer that. Judith came to Connersville on a 3-year exchange teacher program, and she said, I'm going to make this hard on you, Patty. If a cow laughs hard enough, Patty, will milk come out of its nose? You don't have to answer these now, Patty. I got another one for you, Patty. Don't sit down. What was the best thing before sliced bread? Never mind. Another table sponsor, the Eye Center of Connersville. Another table sponsor. Oh, thank you for standing. They did not want me to single anyone out, but they stood anyway. That's awesome. Thank you. Fayette Regional Health System. Where's that table?
They made me stand up.
Doug Fischesser, thank you very much.
Hey, you did a great job.
Hey, thank you. I got a question for you.
You're next up, go.
This is a health concern. I put on a little weight, and I want to know what it's called when an overweight person goes swimming with no clothes on. Okay. Okay. I shouldn't have asked him any questions. Fisher Construction, Jeff Fisher.
He sponsored these guys here.
He sponsored the basketball table? Excellent. Hopkins Insurance Company, Eric Hopkins. Eric, would you please stand? Thank you. Howden Roots Blower. Where's that table? Over there. Anybody want to stand up? Nope. Chicken. Hubert Brandstetter, Fayette County Circuit Court Judge, sponsored the table. Thank you. I, Don Steiner. Dan Steiner. Don. I can't read my own writing. Linda, it's your fault. Sheriff Joey and Amanda Laughlin. I haven't seen Joey. Not here? Okay. Thank you, Joey and Amanda, wherever you are. Karen Lippincott, Insurance. Thank you. Kay Payton. Thank you for sponsoring a table. LaDonna and Wiley Lynch Jr. Where's that table? Is there anyone sitting at their table? Okay. Linda S. Fitzgerald. Linda's back in the back. I'll say a little bit more about Linda later. Miller Monster Robbins Funeral Home, and they shared half a table with Steve and Julie Robbins. Steve, you want to answer this question for me? What happens if you get scared half to death twice? Doug, I think he wants you to answer that. Natco Credit Union, Harry Ann McDaniel. I won't ask you a question. You're praying about it, I won't ask. Paul Freed, Fayette County Superior Court Judge. Paul gave me some really good advice earlier. He said, if I mess up, you'll never be asked to do it again. So, thank you. I do have a question for you. If we're not supposed to drink and drive, why do we need driver's license to purchase alcohol? Why do bars have parking spots? Not that you would know. Reedman Motors, where's that table? Well, thank you to the Reedman family. I was going to ask them, if you have Dodge on the front of your car, why do you need a horn? You want me to stop? Stamp Manufacturing, Clayton Judd is the representative of that table. Clayton, who's your favorite dad? Don't answer that. That's it, you got off easy. Union Savings and Loan Association, Melissa Myers. Melissa, why do we call the people who invest all our money brokers? She knew at the end of her 3 years she was leaving, but she wanted to come and experience America. And she was picked up at the airport by our former principal, Patty Flowers. Patty drove her, she got to see a little bit of Indianapolis, and she thought, I'm used to that. Madrid has 5 million people. She told the applicant that Madrid has culture and history and nightlife and art museums and everything you can imagine. And she said, I saw Indianapolis and I thought, hey, this is nice. And then Patty drove her through the countryside to come to Connorsville, took her to her house in Village Creek, and Judah said, I asked her, she said, when are you going to take me to the city? And Patty laughed and said, we drove through it on the way here. And Judith admitted that she was very disappointed about her placement. She said, I couldn't believe I had signed up for 3 years in this little town that I just drove through. It's 9 years later. Judith is still here. She texted me today. She has her green card. She gets to stay here. And she told the applicant, she said, I came to love this community. She said, I've never been in a place where when you go to the store, people say hi. They stop and talk to you. If you need a ride to work, someone will help you. If your car breaks down, they'll say, hey, use mine. If you need money, they'll give it to you. If you need food, they'll give it to you. And she spilled all of this, and I wasn't expecting it. So it's not just us, people who are born and raised here. There are people in this room right now that were not born and raised here, and they can tell you that we have a lot going on. So I wanted to share that with you. That's one of the reasons I agreed to be the MC, and I'll probably never do it again. So I'm going to introduce, first of all, I'd like to introduce Micah Kelly and Kennedy Crisp. Are you guys still here? Stand up, please. Don't chew while you're standing. Two very talented Connersville High School graduates. Thank you for your entertainment. Now I'm going to start introducing table sponsors, and to make it interesting, I have a few questions for some of you, not all of you. We'd be here a lot longer than you want to be if I ask everyone a question. But you don't have to answer these questions. I'm an educator. I'm curious. You need to ponder them. Some of them you're going to need to think about for a while. Some of them you're going to groan, but that's okay. Let's start with some table sponsors. When I call your name, please stand. To my right, Anita Malo. Question for you, who's your favorite nephew-in-law? Don't answer that. Might hurt my feelings. We actually have you can sit down after I kind of like this. She would take over in a heartbeat. We do have an anonymous table sponsor. I guess I shouldn't ask you to stand up, that would ruin it. Betty Jones, prosecutor. Betty, please stand up. Your question. If a kid refuses to sleep during nap time, would you prosecute them for resisting arrest? Depends on if it was my kid. Colin? Another table sponsor, C.A. Frank Enterprises. Chad Frank, please stand. I won't ask my former neighbor a question. This sponsor did not want to be called, but they sponsored 3 tables here tonight. Certified Engineering, Jason Hessler, would you please go ahead and stand? We need to get to know you. Thank you for sponsoring 3 tables. Communities That Care, Sarah Rathburn. Now, if I don't call all the people that sponsor tables, it's not my fault, it's Linda's fault. It's not my parents' fault, it's not your parents', it's Linda's. She told me to say that, so I don't feel bad. Okay, thank you, Sarah. Connersville Gymnastics Center, sponsored by Joanne Borders, but I don't think, is Joanne here? Sister. 2 sisters, excellent. Thank you for being here. Connersville Veterinary Clinic, Dr. Dwayne Kiefaber and his wife Patty. Patty, I have a couple questions for you. If cow milk goes bad if you don't refrigerate it, why doesn't it spoil while it's in the cow? Room temperature? What if it's outside? Okay. Whitewater REMC, Mary Jo Thomas. Is Mary Jo here? Thank you. You got off the hook. Yaryan Eye Center, Dr. Andy Yaryan. I don't believe Andy's here, but we appreciate him sponsoring a table. That is all of our table sponsors. Now I'm going to introduce the Fayette County Community Voices board members. Jenny Barrett, president. Jenny's already been introduced. Chad Frank, vice president. Kathleen Jasper, secretary. Patty Kiefaber, treasurer. I've tormented you enough. Holly Dunn, member. Gina Hartman, member. Frank Jackson, member. Leota King, member. Deborah Montgomery, member. Shannon Nicholson, member. James Reese, member. Shirley Wise, member. We have 3 ex officio members. Mayor Harold Gordon. Yeah, you're not off the hook yet. I'll get you in a minute. Yeah, you taught me everything I know. And I pretty much said it tonight. Thank you. I've got a question for you later. Later. Sit down, Mayor. Colin Judd. And Colin, you may have to help Clayton with his question. I do have a better one for you. When you go to the theater and you're sitting in the middle, which of those armrest is yours? Both of them? Would you rather help Clayton? Okay. The last ex officio member is Linda Fitzgerald. There are 3 new members. One is absent tonight, Scott Collins, who is Superintendent of Fayette County School Corporation. He is represented tonight by Assistant Superintendent Kim Corsaro. She's already evaluated me, so I can give her a question. Why is the alphabet in that order? Is it because of the song? Another new member, Jessica Flum, Director of Meridian Health Services. And Reverend Kara Busseybarger, pastor of Grand Avenue United Methodist Church. Now I'm going to introduce city officials and county officials. Mayor, you can stand up again and answer your question. Harold Gordon, I've been told you are the Teflon mayor. Did you know that? No, sir, I didn't. Well, I'm telling you now. I can't wait for the answer. Why doesn't Teflon stick to the pan? Or how does Teflon? Never mind. Woo! Got hot, Harold. Aren't you glad I messed that up so you didn't have to answer? Nothing sticks to him. Nothing sticks to him, that's for sure. Police Chief Carol McQueen is here with us. I'm not sure all the city council members are here, but I'm going to introduce those who I thought would be here. Deborah Montgomery. Mike Bishop. I think I saw Mike earlier. Diana Phillips. Connie Durham. Chad Frank. Of 1,000 words, how much would that be worth? This has been a long night. I would like for Connersville's basketball players to stand up. I'm not going to introduce them. Coach Kerry Brown will introduce them, but guys, stand up. Come back there, too. What a wonderful winter we had following you guys. It meant a lot for our town, so I think you're going to get recognized again later, but I wanted to at least have you stand up. It is my pleasure now to introduce Holly Dunn. Holly will give an overview of the Fayette County Fayette County Community Voices. And Holly, before you come up, you have a question. I know you're into nonprofits, and I know you're also a very religious person, so this one bothers me. Do you consider atheism a nonprofit organization? Think about that.
You were bad.
I am bad.
I'm gonna hug you.
Take over.
Hey, Randy, hey, the group has a question. Yes. Okay? Who in the world came up with all these questions? Seriously,
You can,
did a
fi-
great job.
you can find a lot on the internet.
Good answer.
Can we just say, I don't want to follow Randy Judd? Goodness sake, I want to say thank you that you're all here, but can I just say it was a privilege to work for Randy for 5 years at Fayette County Schools, and aren't we so thankful for him being our MC tonight? So my goal tonight is to share a little bit about who we are, where we started, and where we're headed. And so if you will give me just a little bit of your time, we'll move on, and because we all know we want to hear from Coach Brown. So I would like to know that we want you to be a part of Community Voices. If you aren't already, you've taken the first step by being here tonight. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. And as a community, when people connect with other people who have similar passions, great things can happen. And I feel like that's probably the best part of Community Voices, being connected with people who have passion and want to see great things happen in our community. And this has just been a perfect catalyst for wonderful things to emerge. And for example, if you look up here, as a community voice group, we've worked and we've created a community vision. And it's still, we always joke about it, but it's true. Every time we say it out loud, it causes me to get goosebumps. But embrace our past, build your future, welcome home. We spent a lot of time on that process, and I wanted to explain it just a little bit with you. We met as a board and kind of each put our own little piece out there, and then gradually we tore them apart and worked them to create one vision. And throughout the community, we always kept saying, hearing that Connorsville was home. Just like Judith, when you show up in Connorsville, people meet you with red carpet and say, welcome here, let me do whatever I can to help you. And so that welcome home piece, I believe came from Harold Gordon, our mayor, and essentially, I think it brings it all together and helps us to know what Community Voices is about, a group of people who are working together to create a better hometown. In the very beginning, Linda Fitzgerald shared that her goal was to bring people together to significantly influence and positively impact the future of Connorsville. Linda, I think that we've already started to see how we are positively impacting our community, and I'm excited to see what the future will bring. I am so excited about that future, and as a community, we've begun to vision and dream about what we desire, and so these conversations that we've had throughout the year help us to know what it is that we're looking for and what we desire to see in our community, and then through that, and we're able to move forward and make strides to help that to happen. Sometimes we've even, I think probably one of the best parts for me has been in each of the visioning processes when people start to talk about what we have here, they start getting excited, and probably one of my...
Chad, I do have a question for you. I think you're a world traveler. You may know this. When French people swear, do they say, "Pardon my English"? I'm really trying. David Nutty. Where's David? Way back in the back. Mike Winta, President of Fayette County Council. I think we have some council members here. Holly Dunn. Shirley Wise. Frank Jackson. Frank, you didn't stand up, so I'm going to ask you a question. I know you're a police officer in a former life. Did you ever arrest a mime? If you did you mention that they had the right to remain silent? Never? Okay. That was a waste of a stand-up, wasn't it? Kay Payton. Fayette County Commissioners, Leota King. Gary Naylor. Gary, I hate to do this to you. I know you're a EMT, paramedic, retired. If you moved to Rome, would you say, hey, this patient needs a 4 rather than an IV? Hey, I'm not getting paid. Mark Nobby, did Mark show up? Well, Gary, this is your question then. I know, but you're a farmer. It was actually for Gabe Nobby, and Gabe's not here, and Mark's not here. So the question is, originally, if a parsley farmer owes me money, can I garnish his wages? Almost finished. We have some Indiana representatives here from state government. Melissa Douglas is here representing Senator Joe Donnelly. It says Melissa right there. You are Melissa from now on.
You got it.
She says it's Melanie. We'll have to take her word for it.
I'll answer anything. Melissa had to give.
Is Melissa not here? Okay, Melissa Acton, who was supposed to represent Senator Todd Young, is not here. Susie Ripley from the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. Cindy Hartman she's the former Purdue Extension Office Manager, and she is with Linda Fitzgerald, a co-catalyst for this group. Linda and Cindy started this group with the Fayette County Women's Voices, and it kind of morphed into the Fayette County Community Voices, so we thank you, both of you. Tracy Burns and Brenda Kunkel, please stand. These two ladies are Art Association winners. For the third year in a row, the Whitewater Valley Arts Association is represented among the Hoosier Women Artists, and this year, not one but 2 members had works chosen to be on display at the Indiana State House or the Governor's Mansion. Brenda Kunkel is making her second appearance among the elite artists, while Tracy Burns is making her initial showing. Kunkel's work, Can't See the Forest for the Trees, will be displayed in First Lady Janet Holcomb's office at the Governor's Mansion. Just one of 2 works of art chosen for that honor. And Tracy Burns' fabric art, it's called Stained Glass Abstract, will be in State Treasurer Kelly Mitchell's office at the State House. This is the 10th year for the Hoosier Women Artist Program. It's a way to celebrate the importance of the arts in Indiana's communities and showcase the work of talented female artists throughout the state. Entries were judged by a panel of Indiana arts professionals. I have a question for you. If I took a picture,
My favorite of the events we've had was a youth visioning that happened at the Haven, and a young man looked around and he was seeing what people were talking about, like when it came to what we have and what we want to keep, and he said, "Wow, I didn't realize we had this much." And I think that at every one of our visioning sessions, we've realized that Fayette County has a lot to offer, and so we're not so bad. You know, a lot of times we hear the bad, and I think that's probably one of the best part of being, a part of the Community Voices. Through countless discussions, events, and activities, we've realized that with a few determined people, a great deal can be accomplished. So I'd like to tell you just a tiny bit about our history, and Randy Judd alluded to it earlier, and that is we started out as a women's group, and then we were really well represented. So I would say that every age group, and we just, as a whole group, we looked around the table and we thought, you know what, we really do want men. We don't want to exclude them. And so at the start of the year, we invited men to join our group, and we went from community, like the women's voices, to Fayette County community voices. And to be really honest, I think it's been exciting. I know that we've mentioned Linda more than once tonight, but how many of you have been a part of the meetings where we've met and we've had to put dots beside the issues that we like and the things that we would like to not have and whatever? I think the most exciting part of the Community Voices movement has been seeing those dots that we've been concentrating on for a really long time actually have meaning and move towards seeing something come from all that data. So as we've moved on, we've been able to really kind of come together and brainstorm and dream. And I said I was going to throw Stephanie McCann into this. When you hang out with dreamers, it is so exciting. And so that's probably when I think about the Community Voice movement. I think that I have met some of my best friends through this process. And honestly, I'll throw out my age. At 40, I didn't realize that it's possible to have great friendships that are cultivated so quickly. And I think with shared passion, you develop relationships. And so that's probably my piece of the process that I've enjoyed the most. And so as we've shifted and we've moved forward, we've had these focus groups or capital groups that have each taken on their own part of the puzzle. So we have voices for education, voices for social and cultural life, voices for community health and natural environment, voices for public leadership, and voices for physical and structure development. Now, I could spend a bit of time explaining each of those to you. Tonight, I'm not going to do that because I want to hear what Carrie Brown has to say. But I will say that we have an event coming up on the 20th of July that will outline what each of those capital groups stand for. But I wanted to say tonight that each of those groups have had successes throughout the year. So throughout the year, we have been a very big part of the farmers market. Probably one of my favorite events that's happened through the year is our Fayette County Conversations, which essentially has been people who are offering services or having events come together and share what's going on. And so for the first time since I've been in Fayette County, I feel like people know what's happening. Like there's a group of us, that we came together and we know where to look for certain answers. I asked Linda and the group earlier today, and I think that probably there has been a greater awareness than ever before. And I'm a little bit passionate about that leadership piece because that's the group I've been able to be a part of. And in your tables, you have packets that we've been able to distribute to law enforcement. And then when they run into a family that has needs or services, they know where to go. And so we wanted you to have that information. Essentially, it's anything that if you run into anyone who has a need, you are our superheroes. Already, you are a superhero. And we feel like the more people who know where to turn, the better we're going to be able to serve our community. All right, so moving on, the biggest thing that I wanted you to know about tonight is we want you to be a part of this. It's a life-changing thing. We're going to make a difference in our community. And the only way that you can make a difference is to actually show up. So you've started out by showing up here. And on your table, you have a flyer that tells us a little bit about what Community Voices is. That bottom piece of it, we would love for you to fill out your contact information because we want to invite you to the next the next meeting, which is, like I said before, July 20th. And so if you would please fill out that information, return it to your table host or one of the board members, and we will be sure to remind you of upcoming events. So again, thank you so much for your time tonight. I know I am not nearly as entertaining as Randy Judd, but again, the pay, it's free. So, and I will just close with saying I look forward to seeing you on July 20th.
When we were putting the meeting together, we came together as a group and decided we wanted to give an award for someone who represent exactly what we are trying to do in Connersville. We're not just trying to put ideas together. That's part of it. We're trying to put feet to that action so we can build and help grow Connersville. So we decided to come up with an award. It could have been an individual, it could have been a business, it could have been anything in Connersville where some people or an individual has stepped out and decided to make a change for themselves to impact Connersville. And as we were doing this, a lot of names came up. I mean, there's a lot of good things happening in Connersville. But the discussion ended with one corporation in particular. Superior Oil has made a huge impact in our community. They've cleaned up that neighborhood. They've built a beautiful building. And to me, that's what we're trying to do as Connersville Community Voices. There's Fayette County Community Voices, trying to make an impact and help grow and build Connersville. So our first award goes to Ron Snyder from Superior Oil.
I don't know whether I'm supposed to say anything, but anybody that knows me knows I'm probably going to say something. Thank you for the award. It means a lot. We've kind of been a low-key business for a long time, but we've steadily grown. We started from a little bitty recycling company in 1980. We picked away at it, made progress, and the next thing you know, 37 years later, we've got a new building on the property. We wanted to dress up the neighborhood, take down some of the blighted buildings around. We wanted to have an impact on the community. We wanted to be good corporate citizens. One thing I'd like to point out is we're employee-owned, so it's your neighbors that live in the community that own the company, and they're the ones that made it happen. I want to thank the current administration and past administration for their help in making it happen. We've got great services, the utilities. Everybody helped make it happen. We appreciate the community putting up with interruptions in the traffic pattern on Western. We appreciate you putting up with our trucks bringing things into the facility. And when we started this, we were out of room. We had no room to add any new employees. We have since added one more new employee. We've added a chemist. So we're now at 42 people. But in 1980, we were just hoping to get through the next day. We tried a lot of things. Sometimes you do things that you decide you could have done better. Hindsight is perfect. Looking forward is not always perfect. But if you don't try something, if you don't attempt something, you're not going to succeed at anything, but you're going to fail. So as a community, I think we need to get behind the elected officials. We need to get behind people that are trying to do something. Critical thinking is important, but criticism doesn't do anyone any good. So if someone steps out and attempts something, support them. Do your best to help make it happen, because everybody's contributed in one way or other to what we're doing on Western. Hopefully somebody else will step up to the plate in the next year or two, whenever, and start a chain reaction. That's what we're hoping for. So thank you for the award. Thank you for your support. We're proud of the building. We've gotten so many compliments from people on the street that compliment us on the building, but it's our people that makes the difference. A lot of our people, myself included, are products of Connersville High School. There's nothing wrong with the education that's available in Connersville. There's nothing wrong with the people in Connersville. Sometimes it's just a confidence problem. We need to have confidence in each other. Thank you.
Okay. Now, since I am an elected official, I have a question for Mr. Judd. Since you blamed your parents if you got it wrong up here, Mr. Judd, who was my high school government teacher? So if I do it wrong, blame him. No, he was a great teacher. All right, now the part you've all been waiting for. I tell you what, every time I think about this introduction all week, I've been getting goosebumps. Every time I think about the basketball program, driving down the road, wherever, I hear the roar of the crowd. I see the wave of red in every arena we went to. And one of the reasons we wanted the basketball guys here, because you don't always get to see what we see. You don't get to hear what we hear. But those memories of what those guys did last year is exactly what we're all about. They may not realize the impact that they had, but they drew our community together in a time when we needed it bad. A lot of times we focus on the negative. We focus on everything that's going wrong. And they personally showed the state of Indiana who Connersville really is. We came together. You might be fighting with your neighbor one day, but you're cheering for our boys the next day and they're in the crowd somewhere. That was a moment I know my kids will never forget. That's something I will never forget. So, in due time, Coach Brown, would you come up and share your side of the story?
Thank you. And I'm not from Connersville. I've been here for 8 years now, and Connersville has been very, very good to me. It's been so good, even my niece has joined me in the community as a teacher in the school system, and she's staying another year. So I echo those sentiments that I've heard from people, Randy, hiring people, and maybe they ask why you want to come to Connersville. There's a lot of good reasons, especially if you're in the field of education. Thank you for the recognition, the opportunity to share some things with you about our basketball program. I'm a coach because of the kids and the passion that I have for the game and the sport of basketball. We've received a lot of notoriety these past 2 or 3 seasons, but none of it could have been accomplished individually. We've been conference champions. We've had all conference players. We've been sectional champions. We've had all state players. We had an all-star player. We had all tournament players. We had an all-star assistant coach. We had a conference coach of the year, district HBCA coach of the year, District 3 IBCA coach of the year. Our team demonstrated at the state IBCA convention this past spring. Our team demonstrated at the Carmel Coaches Clinic last spring. And our team participated in the Indiana-Kentucky Challenge Cup game for 4A schools. We were the 4A representative this past winter, defeating Louisville Ballard. But none of those awards would have been realized had we been individuals. Only could we accomplish that through teamwork. And that's really what, when I get into what I'm going to talk about, I want to share with you how we try to build our team, because we cannot be successful if we don't work together. I know a lot of people say that. but we exemplify team. I do want to introduce some of the players that could be here tonight, and some of them couldn't because of other commitments. We have Bo Isaacs. If you just stand when I call your name, please. Bo's going to attend Butler University. Obviously, he's a graduate. He was a 4-year letterman for us, and he's been a big part of our success these last 3 years. Grant Smith had planned on being here. He finally got back with me this afternoon and could not be here. Grant is attending Indiana Wesleyan University on a basketball scholarship, and he had some functions up there. He represented Connorsville. I got to be a part of the All-Star games, and Grant represented Connorsville tremendously. For a kid that wasn't a D1 player on the All-Star team, I wasn't quite sure how that was going to work out. In the second game in Kentucky, he played the second most minutes of anybody on the All-Star team. That's how well he performed. Garrett Silcock. Garrett, if you'd stand, please. Garrett will be a senior next year, and he's going to end up being a 4-year letterman for us. He does a great job for us. I'll try not to say too much about them. Noah Belt. Noah, stand up if you would. Noah will be a junior. He's already a 2-year letterman, so things keep going the way they are. He'll end up being a 4-year letterman, and that's a pretty big deal in today's day and age to letter as a freshman in any varsity sport. Braxton Reveling. Braxton's a senior, was a role player for us last year, having a real good summer for us. We're looking for big things and good things out of him this next year. Wes Smith. Wes is a senior. Again, he was a role player on last year's team. He's had a real good summer, and we've had a good summer so far, and we've got a lot of pieces to replace with the seniors that graduated, but I think I'm going to like next year's team. And it's never about winning and losing for me. It's about the kids that I get to work with and the fiber that they have. Clay Garrison is a sophomore. Clay dressed last year on the varsity roster at the end of the season, played primarily JV. He's playing with the varsity this summer, doing a good job, and he's competing for playing time this next season. Dalton Lee. Dalton is a senior. He was one of those guys that came off the bench for us last year, hard-nosed, and he's competing for a lot of minutes in a possible starting position this next year. Drew Shirk. Drew's a senior, played JV last year, and he's competing for minutes in the post on this next year's team. And then our last person we have represented is Tyler Combs, again a senior, and as a junior he played on the JV, and he's competing for minutes on our varsity team next year. Unable to attend, and they got back with me. Hunter Sullenberger was a senior, graduated last year. He's going to attend IU East. Dalton Huffman, also working tonight, couldn't be with us. He's going to attend IUPU Fort Wayne on a baseball scholarship. And then Gavin Wicks was our last senior from last year, could not be with us. He'll attend Ivy Tech next year. Thank you. Hopefully some of this, I'm going to talk about basketball, and I'm going to try to relate a little bit. When I was a young coach, I used to go down to Tennessee and work camps, as most young coaches did, to try to advance ourselves, make ourselves better, develop. And I went to Nashville, Tennessee for about 7 years in a row. I'd go down and work 1 week or 2 weeks. But the guy that ran the camp was one of the best coaches in the United States, bar none. At one time, he was the winningest coach in college basketball. His name was Don Meyer. But he always had for you, it was more than basketball. It was about teaching life lessons to the coaches and the campers. But for the coaches, he always had a must-read list. And if you've not seen this, you may want to go check it out. The book was Make the Big Time Where You Are by Frosty Westerling. So if you're looking for that type of information, I would recommend you get it. But basically, it's this. In everything that you do, make it the most important thing and make everything you do first class. And every job that I've worked at, I've always tried to make the big time where I was at, whether it was Connorsville or wherever. And that's kind of the approach that I've taken with our basketball program. I remember just before I took this job, I was told by a coach that'll probably be in the High School Hall of Fame. He said, don't take that job. It's a dead-end job. An assistant college coach came in my first year and watched our workout. And he was recruiting one of our players. And he proceeded to tell me, unsolicited, that not one other player in our gym could start on a 2A program that he had been affiliated with previously. So again, supposedly this was not a good job to take. So we rolled up our sleeves, we went to work. My goal for us was that we become the #1 4A program in the state of Indiana. And last year, we came very, very close to realizing that goal. We were defeated by the state champions, Ben Davis in the regional championship game. They went on to defeat Fort Wayne North High School in the state finals, a team that we had beat the year before in the Richmond tournament. So we were right there knocking on the door last year. We're not quite there, and that will remain our goal. My goal for our program is to become the #1 4A program in the state of Indiana. They say that championships are won by uncommon people. And I'm here to tell you the guys sitting out here, along with the guys that couldn't be here tonight, are very uncommon people. Some of the things that they were able to accomplish, being down 12 to Mount Vernon in the first game of the sectional, coming back and winning that in double overtime, phenomenal. Bo gets hurt at the end of that win in the first game of the sectional. So now we're without a 4-year letterman. He was our second leading scorer. Just played a huge role. He's our best shooter, and he can't play. He's hurt. We have to play Richmond in the semifinals. We beat them by 5 points during the regular season. You know, they think they're going to get us now, and we end up beating them by 20 points. Then we move on to the championship game against Newcastle on their home floor. Great atmosphere. Half of the arena was red, half of it was green, 10,000 people, 9,000 people there. We barely beat them on our floor in overtime during the regular season. We're still without Bo. I think he plays one play in the game. And we go on to defeat them, give them their biggest loss of the year, 14 points in the championship game. Truly uncommon players that we had on last year's team and the year before, and I even go back 3 years with a lot of these things that I'm talking to you about. Then we move on to the regional. Bo tries to play, he can't play. The morning game, we're down 9 points with about 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and they rally again. You know, they refuse to lose, and in overtime, we defeat Brownsburg before finally Ben Davis ends our season in the championship game. They say champions aren't made in the gym. Champions are made from something that they have deep inside them, a desire, a dream, and a vision. And these young men possess those qualities for sure. I just wanted to share with you, since this was about team and community spirit and team spirit, our core values, some of those characteristics and qualities that we try to develop in our players that are important to our program, things that we emphasize that lead to team spirit and teamwork in our basketball program. A long time ago, a coach that was a lot smarter than me said, it's not what you teach, it's what you emphasize. And when you teach everything, you teach nothing. So the things that we emphasize to our players, those are the building blocks, the core values, those qualities and characteristics that are the most important in our program. And I remind the kids every year, though, I tell them, there are no guarantees in life, though. You know, we may do everything that we're supposed to do, and we may not win. That's why it's not just about winning and losing. It never has been for me. It's about there's a right way and a wrong way to do things, and that's how we approach it, because there are no guarantees in life. The first core value is patience and perseverance. Don't quit, don't give up, and get up every time you get knocked down. And I'll try to give you some examples of these things. And this is one for me personally. I was an assistant coach for 15 years. Most people that are an assistant anything for 15 years quit today. In today's society, they're not willing to work at it, to wait their turn, be it refereeing, coaching, or whatever. You know, if there's not that immediate gratification and satisfaction, they move on to something else. And I was bypassed a couple times, and I could have been, and I was hurt, frustrated, mad, but I continued, And I'm here to say it worked out pretty good for me. I'll give you a better example, a guy a lot more famous. He coached high school basketball for 11 years and never won a championship. He coached at a major college institution without a home gym for 17 years. He shared the upstairs gym with the gymnastic and wrestling teams. His teams appeared in the NCAA tournament only 5 times in his first 15 years. They went 3-9. His teams did not win an NCAA tournament game in the first 5 tries. They're 0-5. At age 53, his team won his first NCAA championship. In his final 12 years of coaching, his teams won 10 NCAA championships. At age 65, he retired the most successful coach in the history of college basketball. Randy was giving you some questions earlier. Fish? I figured most people would know that. But, you know, he persevered and he was patient. And those are some of the qualities that we try to emphasize to our players. And I'm going to give you an example from our team, and this was 2 years ago. Sectional champions. But at the end of January, and that's about the time you want to be peaking. You know, you want to be playing your best because the sectional is right around the corner. And I refer to this weekend as the lost weekend. And it was pretty bad. We go to Mount Vernon on a Friday night, get beat, don't play good, close game. We go to Mooresville on Saturday night, don't play good, you know, get shellacked, handed to us pretty good. I know on the ride home, JD and I didn't even say a word to each other, didn't even talk. We're doom and gloom. And we're a month away from the sectional or less. And the kids persevered through the adversity of that weekend when it looked like, how are we going to win the sectional now? And they got the ball rolling, winning our first sectional championship that season. But it didn't look like it. At the time when we were supposed to be peaking and playing our best basketball, we played horrible one weekend. But we rebounded from that and came out on top in that sectional that first year. There's an acronym in sports. It's called TEAM, T-E-A-M. Stands for Together, Everyone Achieves More. We must be the best team if we're going to be successful. We're not the most athletic. We're not always the most skilled. We're not the biggest for sure. We're not the fastest. We must play together. We must be like, and I use this example for our players, we must be like a fist, not 5 fingers. We must be one and not 5 individuals. And that's kind of my philosophy as far as our offense and our defense goes. It's about the team. It's not about the star. It's not about the individual. It is about the team. 1 does not beat 5. You may not understand some of these things. That doesn't matter. The idea here is that we help each other out. When we play defense, we talk about things like helping the helper. We also talk about when they score on us, they don't score on one guy. They score on all 5 of our guys. And we make it a team defense. Offensively, the same thing. We must play with the extra pass mentality. We must get great shots, not just okay shots or the shots that our opponents want us to take. We play as a team on offense as well. An example of that, Grant Smith and Garrett Silcott averaged almost 5 assists a game last year. 2 of our 3 leading scorers, yet they were willing to pass the basketball, and that's why we were successful, because our leading scorers were willing to share the ball. They were not playing as individuals. Accountability. We talk about being on time, and on time for us means you're dressed and ready to go 10 minutes early. You attend every practice, or you run. You attend all of our workouts, or you make them up. I have an example of that from this morning. Young man missed his alarm, sends me a text. Hey, I missed my alarm. But also a part of that text, he said, when can I make it up? He was accountable for his actions. I won't mention his name, Tyler, but he owes me one next week. We expect them to be good students. That means grades and conduct. And if they're not toeing the line in the classroom, we have kids that miss practice to go see their tutors, and that's great, that's fine. We remove people from the squad temporarily if their conduct's not what it should be. I mean, there's consequences in our program. A great example in our program, the best example that I can give you of a student athlete is Garrett Silcott. Garrett's a member of the National Honor Society, and Garrett also is going to participate in the Top 100 workout this summer. He is a great role model for the players at all levels in our program. We expect it. Thank you. We also expect them to give back to the community, be good citizens. I know this past season our players went over and helped kick off ice step testing at Maplewood Elementary School, and they got a kick out of that, and I think the students at Maplewood also enjoyed that tremendously. Discipline's another one of our core values. We have a little bit different definition for discipline. It's doing what has to be done, when it has to be done, and to the best of your abilities when no one is around. It's easy to have discipline when your parents or your coach or your teacher's there, but we ask our players to have self-discipline when there's no one there to oversee them. Roles are important in our program. Players must accept the role for our team to be successful. It's not an equal opportunity thing. Everyone must defend, rebound, take care of the basketball. Shooting is not an equal opportunity skill. And I'll give you an example of this. Last year in the sectional, championship game, big game, while it was still close, it's still the first half. Everybody wants to score. Everybody. And when you catch the ball and you're wide open, everybody in the stands is yelling at you, shoot it, especially your parents the loudest. Dalton Lee catches the ball on the three-point line. It's first half of the sectional, close game. His man's down in the lane. So if you know what the court dimensions are, you know that he's not very close to him. And Dalton catches it, looks at the rim, knows what his role is, looks at the rim again. I think he kind of faked like he was going to shoot it, drew his man out of the lane, went around him, got fouled, scored the basket, and one opportunity. Did you make the free throw, Dalton? You did. But if he would have shot, that wasn't his role on our team last year. And if the other players on our team don't play to the roles that they have to do for us to be successful, then we will not win those basketball games. We will not have those opportunities. So everyone has a role in our team. They're defined. They can change. They can change. Effort and attitude go together for us. We stress to the players to worry about the things that you can control. The things that you can't control, don't worry about them. What people are saying about you, don't worry about it. Referees have no control over them. That's why I say so little to them. I can't affect them or impact them. They're not going to change their call. I gave our players an example this summer. A pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates found out he had cancer. He couldn't control that. So only worry about the things that you can control. And the things that you can control is your attitude, make sure it's positive, and your effort. Play and work extremely hard. Don't blame others when things aren't going your way. Don't point fingers at other people when things aren't going your way. And I tell my kids in the classroom all the time, and I tell the kids on our team, when you point a finger at someone else and you blame them for something that's going on, there's three of them pointing right back at you. You need to look at yourself and see what you can do differently. An example of great attitude from last year's team, Gavin Wicks was our 10th man, and Wes Smith was our 9th man. There's not a lot of playing time for the 10th and 9th man on a team. Those two guys, I never would have known if they were mad or upset or jealous or not happy for the success that the first 8 were having when they were playing, because they were the biggest cheerleaders on the bench. They were up, standing, clapping, having a good time over there. They were happy for the success that their teammates were having. We remind our players that the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. And our kids play hard and they work hard. Toughness, probably something that I underestimated as a young coach. We beat Pendleton 3 years ago in the sectional to get to the championship game, which was a step in winning the sectional these last 2 years. And after the game, the Pendleton coach told me we hadn't beat them. We couldn't beat them. And after the game, he said, your kids were tougher than ours. That's why you won the game. And, you know, I probably didn't give it that much of a thought prior to that. I wanted our kids to be tough, but, you know, I probably thought shooting or dribbling or passing was more important. But we emphasize toughness in our program now. And when our toughest guy gets whipped by the other team's toughest guy, we're probably not going to win those games. And for the most part, I think we've been the tougher team. Andrew Stein was kind of the catalyst 3 years ago on that team. Again, the little guy on our team, the guy that was our toughest guy. It doesn't make any difference, you know, how big you are. It's how much heart you have. But now we have this healthy competition going on within our team. You know, who's the toughest? Last time I heard, Noah won the challenge we had, but we got guys in the weight room, and they're working hard. We got examples of guys at Plainfield the other night. Clay Garrison goes flying through the Plainfield bench into the stands, saves the ball, runs back through their bench. I was with the freshmen, so I didn't see it, but their assistant, who's my son-in-law, was talking about that number 12 and how hard he was playing and, reckless he was playing. And so I looked around, saw who number 12 was, and it was Clay Garrison. Clay probably eats nails for breakfast. That's how tough he is. But it doesn't stop there, and this is why we are who we are right now. Braxton Reveille this summer. Braxton, stand up again. Okay, you can see Braxton. We're playing a week ago down at Lawrenceburg, and he tries to take a charge from a guy that's 6'8", 270 pounds. Now, the referee didn't give him the call, but his toughness that what he displayed and to do the right thing is why he's going to help us be successful this year. Our best players last year led our team in charges, Grant and Garrett. And then we had a player 2 years ago that took 35 charges in a game. So when we're talking about toughness, I think our kids are starting to understand, they're starting to get it, and that's why we've had the success that we've had. It's those little things is why you're successful, not the big things. They say that the greatest form of toughness is consistency. And I would say 27-2 is a pretty good indication of toughness and consistency last year. We ask our kids to set goals so that they can motivate themselves. Individual goals, we ask them to get together. No coaches are involved in it. They set team goals for the season. And then obviously I set goals for our team as the coach. Leadership we want to develop within our players. We need the coaches to be leaders, but the coaches can't do it by themselves. If I'm in a camp and there's 50 kids in there, I can't see every kid. If I'm coaching, there's 10 guys on the floor at a time, I can't see all 10 guys and what they've done. So one of the things that we've tried to do, and I stole this from Don Meyer again, the all-time winners coach in college basketball, it was called the buddy system. And that's where the older players, the veterans, the varsity guys, coach the JV and the freshman players in workouts, practices, camps. And then the middle school guys, the 8th graders, are the buddies. They're the veterans, and they're passing on information to the 7th and the 6th graders, and so on and so forth down the line. So we feel like we're doing a good job of developing leaders in our program and in our teams. The other part of that is this. I'm not around the guys all the time, and whoever the leader is in the back of the locker room when the coach isn't around, if we're going to be successful, you better hope that he's echoing what I'm echoing. And if he's saying the same things that Coach Brown's saying, I feel like we're going to be pretty good. And if he's on a different page than Coach Brown, then there's going to be some disconnect, and we're not going to be as good a basketball team or program. I've been very fortunate. I have had great captains and great leaders in the 8 years that I've been here. In closing, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. I get up in front of anywhere from 2,000 to 10,000 people on Friday and Saturday night. Never as nervous as I was having to speak and present in front of all you people tonight. So I hope I've done a good job sharing some of those things that are important to our winning spirit, our teamwork, what we do as a program, and those things that we emphasize. I want to thank my assistant coaches because it's not about me, and it never is. It is about our players, the assistant coaches, and our support staff. For example, our student trainers, student managers, our trainers, and those parent volunteers that have given their time to help make us successful. One of the last things is this. I have the opportunity to coach in one of the best facilities, if not the best facility in the state of Indiana. Our pregame routine is second to none. When people come in here, they're amazed by it. Our crowds, our regular season crowd's phenomenal. We usually had more people on the road this past season than the home team. And then, when I travel different parts of the state, and I coached with a guy from Fort Wayne and a guy from Carroll way up north in the All-Star game recently, and both of those guys were talking about, I don't do Facebook and I don't do Twitter, but the pictures that they saw of Southport and the regional when it was packed, and all the red shirts in the stands, and the sectional at Newcastle when it was half red and half green, just the community support that we have had, especially these last couple of years. People around the state know about Connersville and our basketball program, our history, and the tradition that we have here. And I'm glad to say that, you know, maybe we revived it a little bit, but I know about the history, tradition, and people in our state know about Connersville. I want to leave you with one last thing. I have a lot of respect for my assistants, specifically one of them. He sent this to me. I don't remember when. It was a while back. I don't know if we were doing good or doing bad, but I want to share it with you because I think it's appropriate for what we're trying to do in our community and what we try to do in our basketball program. Failure will only be temporary if it is surrounded by continuous effort. Winners lose, losers win, but successful players never quit. Garrett, who said that? JDM. J.D. Miller sent that to me at one time. I've kept it, I've remembered it. It speaks volumes about what we're trying to do in our program, and I think it's what we're trying to do with our community as well. Thanks again, I appreciate it.
I had a question for Coach Brown, and you know, I'm going to ask it, but I'm not going to ask it of him because at this point it would be disrespectful. What a great speech. What a great example for our young men. And my question was, you know, all my life I've been told that practice makes perfect. And then I've been told that no one's perfect. My question was, why practice? Well, I made a mistake. There were people I was supposed to introduce that I didn't. So I need to introduce a few people, and I apologize. Young people, I know you probably like that question I just asked, why practice? But if you don't practice, you don't get better. You make mistakes. So I need for Warren Sudoff to stand up. County engineer and surveyor. Thank you. Dan Parker, Economic Development Director. And Chris Nobby, he's Jackson Township Representative. Chris is here tonight. I'm really excited about the young people that are in the crowd tonight. Yes?
I'd like to introduce Melinda Sudoff.
Awesome. Thank you. Linda told me to do this. If there's anyone that I didn't introduce, if there's someone like Betty that would stand up and say, hey, we've got this person here that we need to introduce, please do that right now. Anyone else? Okay, I think I messed up when I messed up the Harold joke, so. I thank those who organized this great event tonight. Thank you for your work and your effort to make Connersville and Fayette County a better place. Thanks to the sponsors. I thank all of you who attended for your patience with me, your interest, your contributions, your hope for our town and our community, and your love for our community. I will ask one last question. What are you prepared to do to make this a better place for all of us, especially our young people? Thank you for coming. You're allowed to stay and network as long as you want, but if you are leaving, drive safely.